Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Teaching English on Dروس Super Goal 3. Before we start, we'd like to welcome our colleague Mr. Salih Al-Ujan, the interpreter to the sign language. As always, we start our class by reviewing the plan. What are we going to achieve at the end of this class, inshallah? First, after this class, at the end of this class, students will be able to ask what's the matter, and also they will ask the same question but in different expression, what's wrong, okay, in a conversation. Also, students will be able to identify three real talk expressions. Students will be able to answer 5 questions on how to be healthy, how to live a healthy life, okay. Also, at the end of the class, the students will be able to complete 5 conversations about symptoms and their treatment. Okay, now we are at Unit 8, at Step 6 and 7. These sections are a conversation and about you. In the unit number 8, the title of this unit, if you still remember, what's wrong? Conversation and about you are the main topics of our class today. Before we start, let's review the previous lesson. You remember in the previous lesson, we studied grammar, listening, and pronunciation. Okay? What did we study? We studied how to use should and shouldn't to give and ask for advice. If you want to ask for advice, you can ask like this: what should I do if I have so and so, or when I have so and so? Okay, this is how to ask for an advice. Okay, sorry, for advice. If you want to give advice, you can say you should do this and that. Or if in the negative form, you can say you shouldn't do this and that, or you shouldn't eat this and that. Also, we'll practice some of these expressions in our conversation today. Also, we learned in the previous lesson in the grammar section the clauses with when. Okay, when we use when, also we use it when we give advice. Like, for example, when we ask for advice. What can I do, or what should I do when I have, for example, a headache? You ask the doctor, you ask him like this or her, you say, what should I do when I have a headache? Okay, like this. Let's read these two, the question and answer. How do you feel when you lose something? If you lose something, you don't know where it is, it's lost, something you cannot find, you can answer like this: I feel angry and nervous. You remember in the previous lesson also we learned some adjectives, 24 adjectives. These adjectives describe a person, okay, or describe a feeling, okay, somebody has in some cases. Also in the listening section, if you still remember, we talked about these 4 boys here told us about their health problems, the illnesses they had, and we could recognize the illness when we listened to that. Just to remind you again, this boy had a backache. Why did he have the backache? Because he carried heavy objects like boxes and other things. The other one here had a toothache. He told us that he ate a lot of candies, and also he drank soda, and you know how bad these things and how badly they affect the teeth in general. So he had bad toothache because of eating that. Also, this guy had a sore throat. Why did he have a sore throat? Because he attended a volleyball match, and he was shouting all the time, and he had pain in his throat. So the pain in the throat, we call it sore throat. This guy also had a stomach ache because he ate much food, different kinds of food. This one had a cold. He had a cold, and he told us why he had a cold: because he was on a plane for 6 hours, and there were so many people there sneezing and coughing. So he had the infection of a cold. Okay, also in the previous lesson we studied the pronunciation, how to pronounce the blended S with another consonant. Like here, S is blended with some consonants, like in the first one here, sneeze. So the S is blended with N. So how to pronounce it, how to say it correctly? We say sneeze, sneeze. And the other one is stomach, stomach. S is blended with T, so we have it in the, together, we say stomach. Also SW, we say it swallow. To put something in your stomach, that is swallow. Okay, sleepy, when somebody wants to sleep. And here we have the pronunciation of SL together, we say sleepy. Okay, and now we move to our main class of today, that is a conversation. What are we going to learn in this conversation? Look at this picture here. We have a conversation between Umar and Bud. Okay, Bud did something not good. Actually, we can recognize, we can also know what this thing is from the picture here. Look at this meal. It is a light meal. Okay, we call it a light meal. Tea, rice, and toast. Okay, but before that, he had a heavy meal. What was that? Look here, fish, steak, okay, and also shrimps, pudding, ice cream, and another pudding. That is a kind of dessert. Okay, sweet things people usually eat at the end of the meal or after the meal. But here, which one is healthy, you think? The first one or the second one? Both. All of them are healthy. But if you eat too much with different kinds, it becomes unhealthy. Not good to eat this one. So what happened? Look, when he ate this one, he had a stomach ache and he had other illnesses because he was not reasonable. He did not eat a reasonable amount of food. Much food is not good for your health. So the doctor advised him to eat something light. Like you see in the first picture here, we have much food, as you can see here, and this caused him some illnesses, some problems. In the second one here, this is what the doctor advised him to eat. Now we're going to also answer some questions. If you look at your book, page 68, and you can see the pictures, and you can tell who is talking. You can tell from the conversation that is on page 68 who is talking. It is very clear that the two people in this conversation are Umar and Bud. Okay? Okay, how does the boy feel in each picture? How does he feel? If you look at the facial expression of the boy in the first picture and in the second picture, you notice difference. Okay? Because he was happy when he eats a good meal. Okay? But in the second one, he was not happy because he doesn't like this kind of food. But the doctor advised him to eat so. What do you think the conversation will be about? From the pictures, you can tell, you can guess what the conversation or what the main topic of this conversation is. It is about food, and food usually affects the health. So here, talking about food and the health, or the impact of food on the health. How do we ask what's wrong? This is also we're going to learn from this conversation that we will read and listen. Okay? And what's wrong? What's the matter? These are the common questions about when you want to ask about a problem. When you see somebody having a problem and he's not behaving very well or he's not looking well, you can ask him or her one of these two questions. They are the same, different expressions. You can say, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? Or you can say, what's the matter? All these questions when you want to ask about the feeling of a person and the reason behind this feeling. Okay, the conversation here, we start the conversation, but let's start with it by listening. We will listen and read at the same time. Umar and Bud, they're talking about the food that Bud has eaten. Okay, let's listen.
Hi Bud, what's the matter? You don't look well.
Man, I feel terrible. I have a stomachache and I feel like vomiting.
You should see a doctor.
I just did. He gave me a prescription for some medicine and said I should have only tea, toast, rice, and things like that for a while. It's probably something I ate.
What did you eat?
Okay, so here you notice that the main topic of this conversation is the food. In the beginning, the Umar started by asking, what's the matter? You don't look well. When he saw his friend Bud not looking well, maybe suffering of pain or complaining of pain or complaining of or being not comfortable, he asked him, what's the matter? Bud answered, man, I feel terrible. His feeling is not that good. Terrible is the same meaning as bad, but more in more extent than being bad. I have a stomach ache and I feel like vomiting. We know what's the meaning of stomach ache. That's the pain when the stomach hurts, and the feeling of vomiting is called nausea. That is when you want to vomit, when you want to throw up. Okay, you should see a doctor. Now this is advice. Here, Umar advises his friend to see a doctor. But what did Bud answer? I just did. That means I saw a doctor. Okay, he gave, or the doctor has seen me. He gave me a prescription. You know, the prescription is the piece of paper that the doctor gives, including the kinds of medicine. For some medicine, and said I should have only tea. Now the doctor advised him to eat just particular or specific kinds of food. What are these? Tea, as you can see in the picture here, tea, toast, rice, and things like that. Okay, things like that. That means there are more things, but Mr. Bud doesn't want to tell what these things are. Okay, for a while. It's probably something I ate. So now he's justifying, he's telling the reason why he has or he had a terrible stomach ache, because the reason was because he ate something not good. Okay, now Mr. Umar is asking, what did you eat? He's asking about the things or the kinds of food that Bud had eaten. Now we will know in the next part of the conversation what were the things that the Umar had eaten. Okay, let's go to the next part and listen, read at the same time, please.
Nothing much. I ate dinner at an all-you-can-eat buffet. I had seafood, then I had steak, and for dessert I had pudding followed by ice cream and chocolate fudge cake. And, oh, the thought of food makes me sick.
That's a shame. I wanted to invite you to go out for dinner.
Okay, so the kinds of food, according to Bud, nothing much. But I think it's not a correct answer. It is much, actually. Let's read and find out why we consider it much food. I ate dinner at all-you-can-eat buffet. This is a buffet you can see here, when you have a chance to choose the kinds of food that you like to eat. Okay, I had seafood. Let's count what the things that Umar had eaten. He says here, I had seafood, then I had steak. You can see in the picture that's the steak. And for dessert, I had pudding followed by ice cream. The dessert, as we said before, is the sweet food that you eat after a meal. Pudding, ice cream, and chocolate fudge cake. And thought of food makes me sick. So he's justifying, he's telling the reason why he was sick, because of this kind of food. So when he says nothing much, it was actually much. When you see these kinds of food, to eat them in one meal, that is considered as much food. Much food is not good for your health if you eat different kinds of food in one meal. Bud says that's a shame. He's not happy about that. I wanted to invite you to go for dinner. So he cannot invite him for dinner. Why? Because his friend Bud is sick, so he doesn't have a chance to eat. The doctor advised him, as we said, to eat specific kinds of food, and he's not allowed to eat things. Okay, now let's move to questions now about the conversation, to check if you understand this conversation or not. How does Bud feel in the beginning, from the very beginning, when Umar asked him, what's the matter? What's wrong with you? What did he feel? He said, I feel terrible. So he feels terrible. Also, what's wrong with him? What is the problem exactly? He has a stomach ache and feels like vomiting. As he said, pain in the stomach, and he is feeling that like if he is about to throw up from his mouth to empty his stomach. Okay, this is the picture that indicates vomiting. What advice did the doctor give him? What is the advice that the doctor gave Bud? We can tell the advice here. He should take some medicine and have only tea, toast, rice, and things like that for a while. Okay, 3 different kinds of food: tea, as we can see here, toast, rice, and things like that. Okay, this is the medicine, and here we can see the tea. Here is the toast. Okay, and also rice and something like that. When somebody says something like that, he or she wants to add more, but no need for mentioning them. Okay, means similar to this thing. What did Umar want to do? He wanted to invite Bud to go for dinner. Okay, that is the invitation. He wants to go with his friend to have dinner somewhere. Okay. Now, a real talk now. We had some expressions in this conversation. As you can see here, we have 3 expressions. Let's find out what we mean by these expressions. But with these expressions, like the first one here, he says, I just did. When Umar asked him to go to the doctor, Bud replied saying, I just did. That means I just did a few time ago. Let's answer the questions here about this expression. Who says I just did? Okay, who said that? Bud is the one who said that. What did he just do? What did he just do? What is the thing that he did? As because his friend advised him to see a doctor, he just saw a doctor. I just did. That means I just saw a doctor. When did he do it? When did he see a doctor? A short time ago. So here we can find out that I just did means what? You can read it all together now. I did that a short time ago. When somebody says, I just did, that means I did that a short time ago. Another expression, and things like that. When he was telling his friend Umar about the things that he ate, he did not complete, he did not tell all the things that the doctor told him to eat. He counted tea, toast, and rice, and something like that. Okay? So here, let's answer the question. Who says and things like that? That's Bud. Okay? So what we mean by that? And similar things, a way to give examples without naming lots of things. So he used toast, rice, okay, and tea as examples. So after that, he said, and something like that. Another expression, or the last expression, nothing much. Who says nothing much? That is Bud. When he asked him, what did you eat? When Umar asked Bud, what did you eat? He started by saying nothing much as an introduction to the things that he ate. But was he truthful when he said nothing much? Let's find out when we answer the question here. Do you agree that he had nothing much for dinner? When he counted the kinds of food that he had eaten, do you think that he was right? He had the truth, telling the truth? No, it's not. But actually, he had a lot for dinner. When he counted the things, they were much. Okay? So what does nothing much mean? Not a great amount. He says not a great amount, but actually it was a great amount of food. Okay, now it's your turn to practice and to role play the conversation. Your partner is sick. Let one of your partners, one of your classmates, or one member of your family act like he or she is sick. Ask what's wrong. Give some advice on what to do. How to ask about advice. What should I do? He can do like that, or she can do like that. And you can also give advice by saying you should do so and so, or in the negative form you can say you shouldn't do this and that. Okay? Now we will ask you about your own experience. Okay? Let's answer these questions. Are you usually a healthy person? Generally speaking, are you a healthy person? Do you live, or do you make your life, or do you make a daily routine, a healthy daily routine? okay, a healthy life? This is a very important question. That means, do you eat a reasonable amount of food? Do you practice exercises? Do you do exercises? This is one of the important thing that makes your life or your lifestyle better, okay? And it makes your life healthy, or to make your body healthy. Number two, when were you last ill? The last time you were ill, you were sick, when was that? Okay, and also answer the question here. What was the matter with you when you were ill? Maybe 2 days ago, 3 days ago, a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. What was it? What was the matter with you? Okay, what did you do for the problem? Some people have some remedies, we call it remedies, and some solutions, okay, for the problems, the health problems they have. What did you have when you had this illness, for example? This is for you. Also, what do you do to keep healthy? In general now, you can answer this question. If you want to be a healthy person, what do you do? We told you there are so many means, so many ways to make your body healthy. As we said, by eating reasonable amount of food and good kinds of food, like avoiding junk food, avoiding bad food that will affect your body badly, and also by doing exercises. Exercises are very important for your body and to live a healthy lifestyle. Okay, how do you ask what's wrong? This is a very important question. If you want to ask about somebody what he or she has, you can do like this: what's wrong? And also you can say, what's the matter? These are the same questions. These are very important questions. When you see somebody, for example, upset, or when you see them sad, you can say, what's the matter? What's the problem? Or when you see somebody complaining of pain, what's the problem? What's the matter? Okay, also how to respond to advice. This is very important also. When somebody gives you advice, how do you to respond? How to answer for the advice? Okay, you can say that's a good idea. Okay, that means you accept the advice and you like it. You say that's a good idea. What else? You can say, yeah, I think I will do that. Okay, so that means you agree also, and you will do what the person told you about to do. Yeah, I should. Usually when somebody gives advice, he or she uses should. You should do this and that. You shouldn't do this and that. So if you like the advice and if you agree that it is very useful, you can say, yeah, I should. Yeah, I should. Also, if you don't accept that the advice and you think it's not suitable for you, it's not good for you, you can say, no, I don't think so. Okay, you can reply like this. Also, you can say, for example, when somebody advises you to see a doctor, you can say like this: I saw a doctor yesterday. Okay, or you can say, I just did. Now, there is an exercise here. Look at the photos, complete the conversation. Here there is another conversation that is in your book, page 119. That is an exercise B in your workbook. Okay, Yahya says, my tooth hurts. I have a toothache. He says, my tooth hurts. That means I have pain in my teeth. What does Umar say? Where do you go when you have a toothache? He says, when I have toothache, I go to the dentist. Okay, here we have another conversation. Let's complete it together, and you will do the rest in your book, as we said, page 119 in your workbook. Okay, Sam says here, I am sneezing and I have watery eyes. So you can tell from the symptoms that the things that appear on the patient when he has or when she has a health problem. Let's write down the right answer. Think about it and let's write it down. Here, Sam, I am sneezing and I have watery eyes. Sneezing, when the air comes suddenly from your nose and from your mouth with some drops, okay, like suddenly, as we said, sneezing, that's the sneezing, and watery eyes, this is an indication of a cold. So he has a cold. I am sneezing and I have watery eyes, I have a cold. So here John says, what do you do when you have a cold? When you have a cold. Okay, this is a question. Here we have to put a question mark. Why do we put a question mark? Because it is a question here. What does Sam answer here? He can say like this: when I have a cold. Okay, we put a comma here because this is, we call it dependent clause. What can we say? When I have a cold, I should take, for example, aspirin. You know aspirin? We mentioned it in aspirin. Okay. You remember we introduced this word in the listen and discuss section when we introduced the first part of the first lesson of this unit. Okay. Now you will need to do the rest for, in this work in your book, as we said in your workbook. When Majid, Adil, and Majid also replied the same thing. My throat hurts. I have. When somebody has a sore throat, what does he have? He has a sore throat. So you need to write it down and to watch your spelling and how to write in good punctuation. What do you do when you have a sore throat? Majid will answer. What will he say when somebody asks him what to do when you have a sore throat? When you have a sore throat, you can visit a doctor. You can see a doctor, for example. Okay, another conversation, that's number 3 also. My head hurts. When somebody has a pain in his head, what does he have? He has a headache. Okay, what do you do when you have a headache? Okay, you can say you can see a doctor, or you can have some kinds of medicine. Okay, also you do number 4. Number 5, you can do it by yourself. That is also the rest of this exercise. Okay, and by this we come to the end of our class today. Thank you for watching and see you inshallah in our next episode. Goodbye.